The Japanese rant from the rooftop. So it's election time here in Japan, and people are talking more about foreign nationals than they are about the rice crisis or the inflation crisis. It seems extremely interesting. It seems to be mixed up with the number of inbound tourists and people's kind of like hesitations and seeing stuff on Instagram and TikTok and other social media platforms of Westerners or foreigners doing interesting things in Japan. But the crime rate over the last 30 years, including, and these are the Japanese national statistics, the crime rate arrest rates have actually gone down for foreigners in Japan over the last 30 years. Even that there's more foreigners in the country. So it's kind of like a little bit of false information in some respects. But that leads me on to another area, which is what will the Japanese population look like in 2050? Now, the official projection is that it will be 104 million Japanese people. Currently, if you take all of the foreign residents out of Japan, and tourists are not included obviously, but anyway, foreign tourists, foreign residents, permanent residents, students and so on and so forth, is about 21.5 to 22 million. So over the next 24 years roughly, the population is going to drop by another like 18 million. But these numbers were done in 2020, and the last three years, the amount of babies being born is way below what they were predicting for the last 3 years. Every year it's been the worst number since 1893 or something like that. So it's going to be a lot worse. Probably, I would probably lean towards 90 million people. Now you can get in a car and you can drive from, say, Hiroshima to Kure on the seaside, and you'll drive through towns where you'll see like 400 or 500 people living here, 200 people living here, 170 people living there, and in between all of that there's one post office, there's one convenience store, there's one tiny train station, there's a kind of a volunteer basis kind of government supported taxi service which finishes at like 6 in the evening, and the buses stop at the bus stop or the bus stops between the 2 or 3 towns stop at sort of like 4:45 in the afternoon. There's no night service. Now that's with the current numbers. Now you drag that down by 17% or 40%. There ain't no young people living in those towns. It's going to become the outback of Australia. You're gonna have like cities and then nothing, and cities and then nothing, and a large town here or there, and cities. So I see city dwelling doing quite well. Osaka, Kyoto, Tokyo, Nagoya, Sapporo, doing quite well over the next 25 years, because people are going to be forced into those areas. Because no doctor, no dentist, no bus, no, and when I say no, I mean it's bare minimum right now. And the only way to turn that around, let's say it moves down to 90 million, right? Do you think Japan is going to have an immigration policy to increase the number of foreigners by 40 million foreigners into Japan as residents? They're buckling right now about 3.5 million, right? And permanent residency is something, I don't know, something about 1.2 million or something like that. But yeah, think about that really carefully. I mean, in COVID, Japan basically decided that, okay, we just shut down, and if a Japanese person leaves Japan and they want to come back, they can come back. But if a foreign resident leaves Japan, even with permanent residency, once they leave Japan, they can't return back into Japan until COVID's finished. We don't know when that will be. So there was families split up here and so on and so forth. And we're talking months, even years, if you right at the beginning of when that actually kicked in until when they really turned that off. So that is the but that's the most recent example of how kind of like inward looking Japan can be sometimes. So when it comes down to the fact of Japan, and I've always said this, it's going to be really, really interesting. Does Japan want to keep their global ranking? GDP used to be 2, now it's 4. It dropped to 3, now it's 4. I think Germany is 3, I believe. And India is very close behind, so Japan is very close to dropping to 5th place. So, yeah, I mean, if Japan likes to give money away overboard and look like a big player, and and I totally understand that, but that's external face. But internally in Japan, it's like a small country. We take care of our rice, we take care of our farmers, we build bridges and roads to nowhere. We do all of these things in Japan for Japan, which is I have a problem with either viewpoint. And I love Japan because it's safe, and there are many rules that you have to follow, but it does keep things very, 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 very stable. But however they play this, they lose it. I cannot see a winning move on this at all. I mean, you completely wipe out every single countryside, town, and city in the next 20 years, 24 years. And most of the population are living in 5 to 6 cities in Japan. Or you are really like off the radar. I live in the Australian outback, and I'll dig for my own water, and I'll find my own stuff, and I'll sort stuff out by myself. It's gonna get like that. Or they're gonna invite in so many foreigners, so many non-Japanese people to live in Japan, and then therefore they're going to have to be flexible with things. It cannot be the intern work program where people don't get paid and they can't leave their job, and it's not the job offer they were offered, or so on and so forth. They got to dare I say it, representation, taxation for representation, or representation for taxation, or however you want to say that. But it's gonna be a real interesting situation. I don't think Japan's ready for it, because even in this election, they're talking more about foreigners because of stuff they've seen on social media than they are about rice prices and inflation. So it's going to be really, really interesting. So maybe I chose the best time to live in Japan, 2003 until now. I still think this will still be a much better place than, say, the US or the UK even from 15 years from now. But I do think we're coming to a crossroads of strategies. What does Japan want? Does it want to have clout and face on the international market, or does it want to turn inward like it has done in the past and focus on its culture? Both have interesting repercussions for myself, but it will be definitely interesting to see. So let me know what you think in the comments, and these are only my opinions from my 22 years of experience of living in Japan and what I've seen in the news and everything like that. Okay, thanks for watching, and bye from Japan.